Okay, let's hope that I can get this done without too much noise because I'm recording this at a time that I'm not by myself. And yeah, so there might be some things wrong with this video, but whatever. I just felt like recording it. So I saw, as always, I saw the initial report, I should say, of the whole Joker pregnancy thing on Twitter some time ago. And, I remember looking at it and not really feeling much other than, the kind of, yeah, of course, we're doing this. And I kind of left it at that. And I would have still, I would have still left it at that, except, you know, we now have this part two where the comic writer Matthew Rosenberg decided that he was going to respond. And, his response is that it was a joke. And my kind of answer to that is it wasn't funny. Because that's really kind of the thing that I take away. Now, I had to look him up because uh, his name is something that I always remember from, my time of going much more into comic books and comic book news and things like that. So, I remember his name. And so I had to look him up because I wondered if there was something that I had read of him before and if this whole him being a comedic writer thing was supposed to be a thing because as far as I know, he's never actually been funny. And when I looked him up, when I looked him up on both DC and Marvel, yeah, the answer is he's not written anything that I ever found interest in. So that kind of answers the question for me of, you know, do I find him entertaining? And the answer is no. So that's kind of me leading a bit with my bias on this. What I really kind of found interesting and why I really kind of say that the joke isn't funny is more, looking at kind of the artwork of it. Now, for him, he was mentioning kind of the interesting days of DC and sort of like the quirky days. I'm trying to I know I'm scrolling and I'm trying to find it at the same time because he was talking about I think he was talking about the 60s or 70s. Um, I know that when I'm thinking of, yeah, here we go. When he's this is kind of the idea that he was thinking about. Sort of this kind of time right here, um the silver age of comics. And so where storylines were a little bit, kind of wonky. And that's okay because, you know, for me, I even though it is like not my time at all. I remember watching an Adam West Batman movie. And, I loved kind of like the campy quirkiness that went into the making of it. And I'm assuming that that was kind of the vibe that he was going for, that 1960s, 1970s sort of camp. And, like I'm taking him at his word because like I said, I think everything he's written in comics is supposed to have some form of entertainment comedy. And I say comedy with a question mark because I don't see it. But like I said, for me, it really fell flat because when you look at the color scheme, when you look at the artwork, it basically, it doesn't really give me the sense that it's a joke or that it's supposed to be funny. And I mean, that kind of that's a failure. And even in, like, not even in storytelling, and especially in storytelling that is going to be visual, that look is going to be everything. There is a trick to doing comedy. I'm not I'm not really funny. I'm, like my humor is sarcastic. And so it doesn't always hit right because, sometimes, well, it falls flat just as comedy does. And so, stand up wise, I can do it because you can get all my inflections and you can understand, oh, she's being sarcastic, but if I'm writing it down, it's a lot harder to see. If I'm doing something that's visual, you would really kind of have to use the visual to really sort of get the point. And so I mean, yeah, I'm taking him at his word because I'm pretty sure, comedy is or being a comedian or a comedic writer or whatever it is he thinks that he is. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he was going for, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly who he thinks he is as a personality. But yeah, it isn't. And like I said, fevered dream or not, if we were going to do this as a comedy, and it would, in order for it to hit, it would have to be made clear to the audience that it's supposed to be funny, that they're supposed to find this funny. And the artwork does not make me think that it's funny. The color scheme does not make me think that it's funny. It makes me think that it's supposed to be serious. And I mean, even the face, it just it yeah, it doesn't hit for me. It really does not hit for me. It just I think, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say other than it didn't work. And even in reading the article, like most of the article to me just, it kind of, like most of what he says in the article just really kind of reads more excuses, and it's basically, oh, people have a problem with this, but no one said this about this other time, or no one's had a problem with other issues, which is completely being facetious. And I'm just gonna say, whether he thinks that he's doing comedy or not, he's literally being facetious because it's not comedy. And you know worldview bias aside, it's not like these aren't things that he doesn't subscribe to or ascribe to anyway. So yeah, it just, you know, yeah, it just, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. Like if it was supposed to be funny, then yes, it should look something like this. It should really kind of read like, you look at this and you go, okay, you know, Batman and Robin done as sort of those flat pieces. The whatever monster there's the rainbow creature. There we go. The rainbow creature they're supposed to be fighting really looks kind of silly. The whole thing, it reads as if it should be not, that it should be read lightly, that you should take it lightly. And so, yeah, if that's what we were going for, that's the kind of art that we should have gone for as well. We should not have gone for something that's more serious in look and tone. And that kind of is a problem. Like I would say that that's kind of a problem now sometimes in storytelling. It's it is. It's really kind of a problem for me in storytelling, especially visual storytelling, because you know your color palette, the art style, all of that matters because you're telling a visual story. And what's different in the visual storytelling is that for comics you're doing, of course, the word balloons. So you're doing the word balloons versus writing novels where you can go much more in depth. So you know visually speaking, you're locked into explaining things through the art. And so, yeah, through the art, through the color, through the style that you choose. And so, yeah, it like if you haven't thought about those things and you call yourself wanting to do something, you should really think about it. Like it would not make sense to have a a children's comic that's done in the style of gritty, noir. Like it wouldn't read well. Kids wouldn't like it. Parents would not buy it for their children. This kind of is the same thing. If you're talking about this was supposed to be a fever dream and it was supposed to, read as a joke and people were supposed to think that it was funny, then yeah, it needs some work. It needs some serious work because it doesn't it doesn't really read that way. And that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of really all I have to say about this whole subject because overall, I really can't be bothered to care about DC Comics at this point. Anyway, I stopped reading it a long time ago, and I can kind of understand people's initial reaction to it in the first place because it's not even out of the realm of what modern comics have been doing, period. And so when we've been taking characters and we have been race swapping them and gender swapping them, and we've been changing who they're attracted to, and we're doing all these things, yeah, of course people are going to look at something like this and they're not going to see joke because, like I said, you're looking at the artwork and you're not really looking at this as if it's a joke. Because the artwork doesn't really look like it's making light of it itself. It looks like it is a serious piece of comic literature. So yeah, I just, it basically, he set himself up for failure. And I think he kind of knew he set himself up for failure. And that's why we really kind of have this, I think that's really kind of why we have this kind of coping blog that he did. And now it's an article. And yeah, I'm not interested in it. I'm really not. And I would just say that for anyone else who thinks about creating, or, especially if you're doing visual, like I said, then you really kind of have to think about tone through the artwork and through the color palette and things like that because, all of that stuff does matter. Like, storytelling actually matters. And it's all part of it. Like the world building, the the art, the character design, the color schemes, all of that actually matters. And yeah, this is really kind of a case of it's a failure because of that. And you know, hopefully it's a lesson learned. I mean, but that's only if he can be, if that's only if he can be believed that it was meant to be a joke. I still like I still press the small X because I mean it's modern day and modern day being what modern day is and modern day storytelling is not the best. So yeah, I'm kind of pressing the little X because I'm gonna reserve some judgment on that. And yeah, that kind of that's that. I you know like I didn't really have much to say on it because in terms of feelings, I just like I said, in terms of feeling, it just really was more about the silliness of the artwork not reading what the intent is supposed to be. So yeah, that's kind of the takeaway. If you're gonna do something like this, then it has to be made clear. The joke has to be made clear. Otherwise, no one's going to be laughing. And considering that this was in the comic, the joke, like Joker, the man who stopped laughing, it, I mean, come on, it kind of writes itself at that point, right? Anyway, that will be it for this video. If you liked it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this, do all of that. Absolutely thank you for listening, especially if you've gotten this far. And yeah, I will see you on the next video. Bye.